Flashers, winkers, blinkers, indicators. Doesn't matter what you call them, what matters is what you do with them. Find out in this video coming up now. Hi, my name's Andy and this is the Q4 channel and I'm talking from the shed. So, as I said in the intro, flashers, winkers, blinkers, indicators, it really doesn't matter what you call them. But before I get into this video, I just want to put a big thank you to all of you who've liked any of my videos, who've subscribed, but you know what's coming next. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below and don't forget to click the bell icon because that way you won't miss out on any future content. So, what am I talking about when I talk about flashers, winkers, blinkers, indicators? I'm talking about those flashing lights on the four corners of your car. Their proper name is indicators because they're used when you need to indicate to the rest of the users of the road when you are going to perform a manoeuvre. Did you hear that? It was you indicate when you are going to perform a manoeuvre, not when you're halfway through the manoeuvre, when you've finished the manoeuvre, but your intention to do a manoeuvre. That's what the indicators are there for. So if you're approaching a junction and you want to turn left or right, you indicate and then you brake and then you perform the manoeuvre in that order. Because let's be honest, if you're behind a car and for no apparent reason the brake lights come on, your first thought is, what the hell's going on? Have you seen a hazard that I didn't see? Because you don't look really at the car directly in front of you. Of course, you keep it in your periphery, you keep it in your vision, but you're also looking ahead down the road to see if anything that might affect you. So when the car directly in front of you, all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, puts their brake lights on, you think that they've picked up a hazard that you didn't see. And then their indicator goes on. How does that make you feel? You usually go, oh really? Oh, now you're turning. Because here's the thing, you see. Every journey you take in your car, you're the only one on the road who knows where you're going. You know what turns you're going to take, you know what route you're going to take, but nobody else on that road has any idea what your destination is. Only you do. And you're in charge of that car. So it never comes as a surprise to you that you're going to turn. So why not use your indicator and let the rest of the road users in on the secret? You come to a roundabout, you want to turn right. Why are you turning all the way right without using your indicator? People who are on the other side of the road want to come straight on. You might cause an accident there because they think, oh, you're coming straight on, you're not coming right. And they go just as you're turning because you didn't use your indicator. They slam their brakes on. The car behind probably runs into the back of them just because you didn't decide to indicate your intention. And that's what I mean. How many times have you been on a motorway and you see somebody pull onto the slip road off the motorway and just as they hit the slip road, they put their indicator on? Bit bloody late now, isn't it? You knew hundreds of yards back on those countdown markers, 300, 200, 100 yards, that you were going to turn down that slip road. So why not let the other road users know your intentions? Because that's what an indicator does. It indicates your intention to do a manoeuvre. So use it. And use it often. You don't just need it for turning, you're pulling out of a junction. Let the cars behind know, are you turning right, turning left? Let the road that you're trying to pull onto know which way you're going. If you're maybe turning left with the flow of traffic, you're more likely to get somebody to say, hey, come on, in you come. If you're turning right, which means you're not going to impede the flow of traffic, you're just going to cut across it, and they see that there's Nothing coming the other side of the road, somebody might stop, flash you out. You get straight out because you indicated where you wanted to go. And other people think, I'm going to reward your good behaviour. But people get really annoyed when you don't indicate. And also, not indicating becomes a habit, and a bad one. As I've said before, my job, in previous videos, I may put a card up here somewhere or a link to it to show you, my job is as a test driver. That means I test both on the road and also on tracks. The reason that we do so much testing on the tracks is that we need a safe environment to be able to do things that we couldn't do on the road, whether it's excessive speed or a lot of brash manoeuvres, lane changing, etc. But all the time we're out there, we're constantly using our indicators and hazard lights to let the other track users know what we're about to do. There would be chaos on those tracks if we didn't. And it's soon picked up when we have a driver out there who isn't doing that. And it's soon reported, and that driver is brought to task, is told, please let everybody else on the track know what you're doing. We're all professionals out there. We're all trying to do the individual tests that we're doing on the vehicles that we're doing. We have an amalgam of many different vehicles. And also there is a plethora of tests that are being done out there. So we need to keep that environment safe for all of the users by showing our intentions that we're about to stop suddenly, or we're going to do rapid lane changes, or whatever it might be. But we always indicate, and because we always indicate, that then transfers onto the road, that we carry on completely indicating all the time because we've got into a good habit. We've got into that good habit because it's unacceptable to not do it on the track. We take that onto the road, that it's not acceptable to not do that on the road. But so many people don't use their indicators, and for no apparent reason. Now, that little stem that comes from the column behind the steering wheel that has the indicator on, that's called an indicator stalk. A stalk, not a magic wand. Using it doesn't give you untold advantage that you can be where you want to be. So if you're pulling out of a side street and you've indicated, just because you've got your indicator on does not mean you can then start creeping out into the traffic and cutting off the flow of traffic and impeding everybody else. It's not a magic wand. If you're on the motorway and you come up behind a slower vehicle, clicking on that indicator stalk does not automatically give you a right to be in the lane you want to be in, especially if there's a car next to you. That car's not magically going to disappear, and he doesn't have to let you out. That's the important thing. When you come down a slip road and join a motorway or a dual carriageway, it's still a give way. Just because you have your indicator on, it isn't a magic wand and doesn't mean that you will automatically be let out. It is still a give way. These are things you need to remember. Use your indicator every time you intend to perform a manoeuvre. Not whilst you're performing it and not after you've performed it. Let me give you a scenario. You're driving behind a car, all of a sudden it pulls over to the side of the curb and stops. You've slammed on your anchors, you've gone, what's going on? And then he puts the indicator on to say, oh, I'm stopping here. Now, how much smoother would have that scenario gone if put the indicator on, then pulled over and braked? You know what's going on. So you can prepare to move around them if they're sticking out into the traffic, or you can slow down because they've indicated they're about to do something, maybe pull into a parking spot. It's the same if you come along a dual carriageway and you come to a set of lights, and at those lights the right hand lane is right hand turn or straight ahead, the left hand lane is straight ahead only. But in the left hand lane, say there's quite a few lorries, So you pull into the right-hand lane to come up to the red traffic light, and there's one car in front of you. No indicators on. You think he's doing exactly the same as you. When those lights turn green, you're both going to go straight on and get in front of those slow moving lorries and therefore not impeding your travel. Just as those lights turn green, he puts on his right indicator, pulls forwards and stops. There's nowhere for you to go. All of the left-hand lane starts moving. Now there's cars behind you. Everybody's unhappy, and a few of them will show their displeasure by blarting the hoter. It'll be, what the hell were you doing? Because if that vehicle at the front of the queue had just had 1 ounce of common decency and put the right-hand indicator on, the rest of the vehicles would have gone, no, I'm not pulling out and getting past those lorries because I'm not going to go anywhere when the lights turn green, because until you can pull over, I can't go anywhere. Do you see how it is? Why would that person at the front of the queue, and this happens thousands of times a day, it just makes everybody's journey that little bit worse because of not using the indicator. Come on, it's not difficult, people. It's there on the car. I honestly think that some people go to a showroom and think the indicator's an optional extra. I think some people go to a showroom and the salesman says, oh, and would you like indicators? And their answer is, well, I'm not paying for them, I'd never use them. Because some people just get into the habit of not using them. They forget that they're the only person in that car who knows the journey they're taking. Nobody else on the road knows where you're going. Only you do. You get in, turn it, you have a destination in mind, you know where you're going, you know what turns you're going to take. So that's my little talk on indicators, whether you call them flashers, winkers, blinkers. Their proper name is indicators because they indicate your intention to perform a manoeuvre, your intention. Now, after that little rant, let's have a little humour, and this one is for you, Carl. So a guy decides to go to the zoo and visit the animals, and as he walks through the main entrance, this big cage with a huge silverback gorilla in just by the gates comes running over and he goes "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh," like this at him. He thinks, what the heck? Oh, never mind. So he carries on, he looks around all the animals. He's had a lovely day. On his way back through the gates, this big silverback gorilla again runs up to the edge of the cage and he goes "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." He thinks there's something wrong with that animal. I think I'd better go and find a keeper and, have a word. So he finds the zookeeper's office, knocks on the door, walks in. He says, I think there's a problem with one of your animals, mate. He goes, oh, really? Which one? He goes, well, the gorilla. He goes, well, which gorilla? We've got a few, He says, no, the big silverback gorilla by the gates. He goes, oh, yeah, Sammy. He goes, oh, I don't know his name. He says, but there's something wrong with him. He says, why? What's he done? He says, well, twice I've walked past his cage and twice it's ran up to the bars and it's gone, ooh, 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 and it's done this to me. Well, the keeper starts cracking up laughing. And the guy's like, what are you laughing at? What's so funny? He goes, oh, sorry, sir. He said, I didn't mean to laugh, but it's funny. He goes, well, what's funny? He says, well, Sammy was rejected by its mother when it was born. He said, and we had to hand rear it. And he goes, oh, really? He says, yeah, and like most animals, Sammy can't speak. He is a gorilla. He says, but he learned a sort of unofficial sign language. He says, oh, right, okay. He says, so he's telling me something when he did this. He goes, oh, yeah, Sammy's telling you to bollocks. He goes, beg your pardon? He said, Sammy's telling you to, he's showing you his eyeballs, he's telling you to bollocks. He goes, I'm not having that. Not after some overgrown bloody monkey. He says, it's not a monkey, sir, he's a great ape, no tail. I don't care what he is, I'm not having that. He storms out of the gamekeeper's office, walks back to the cage, the gorilla runs across, and before it can do anything, the bloke goes, and you, Sammy. Well, Sammy the gorilla goes mad, quite literally goes apeshit. Pulls the bars open of his cage, grabs hold of this guy, beats him up a bit, throws him yards down the zoo. Well, the guy spent 6 months in hospital. He's got a broken leg, he's got lacerations, fractures, contusions, and all the time he's been in there he's thinking, get my own back, I'm going to have revenge on you. So the day he's released, he goes to the nearest supermarket, he buys 2 sharp carving knives and a cucumber. Shoves the cucumber down his pants, puts the 2 sharp carving knives in his back pocket, walks back to the zoo. As he walks through the gate, Sammy's still in that cage. It comes running over, and before it can do anything, the guy goes, hang on, pulls one of the knives out, throws it into the cage, pulls the other one and goes, you're so clever, do this. He goes, cuts a bit of his hair off with the carving knife. Sammy looks at the knife, picks it up, copies the guy. He goes, right, pulls his shirt up, gets a little bit of puppy fat there, just cuts a little bit of it off, throws it down. Sammy looks at him, looks at the knife, does the same thing, pulls a little bit of fat, cuts it off, throws it down. So the guy goes, right, watch this, undoes his flies, whops the cucumber out and goes, whoosh, chops it off. Sammy dropped the knife and went, bested by a gorilla again. You know, I was walking out of an office the other day and a guy just walked up to me and threw a glass of milk in my face. I thought, how dare he? Anyway, you people out there, like I said, thank you to all of those who've already subscribed, who've left a like on, who've shared, who've left comments. It really does mean a lot to me. But if you haven't already, or if you know somebody who you think could get a giggle out of this, or some information that you think they need to see, share it. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future content, and of course, always leave a like. So, be happy, be healthy, but above all else, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Bye bye now.
I'm a simple